So we're here. It's the first game we've covered in a fair bit. Um, Actually, I'm not sure. I think it was a couple weeks ago it came in. Took me a bit longer to get to it. Than I thought, since I was trying to get through that last book, as I could use it to take a break from it. So we'll see. I'm not sure really how in depth I'm planning on covering it. We'll go ahead and see how I feel, I guess, about it. The last couple books, which I'm not sure really. I mean, this is a pretty interesting cover. But the last couple books that ended up being a bit more mundane compared to what we had been covering, I sort of just ended up losing interest in. But so we'll see whether this will maintain my interest. So yeah, it looks like we've got a screen. And it's a nice interior piece there. And then looks like we've got a pull-out drawer. So it's the same bit as on the cover. So it looks like these are just tokens, but they are eye-catching. And then I guess it did come with a set. I like these. Very sharp. Kind of similar to the MCDM set, although I don't think they use the same. So a bit different feeling. It's hard to put my finger on it. So that is kind of interesting. I did not, well, I guess we'll see, but that is like the full standard set. So it appears they aren't really doing anything with dice. Kind of wondering how many I want to really open. Maybe two. Yeah, so we'll just take a quick look. So this deck seems to be just a quick resource guide for spells. Don't think I really want to read these yet. I'm sure we'll see these again when we get into the book proper. These are a really good feeling. So I've seen, I'm not sure, I think I've picked up one of these before, because usually they're just an edition or a third-party add-on. So this one looks like another spell deck, so we'll skip that one. But maybe we'll take a look at this one, which looks like, which I'm not sure if I've seen one done for equipment before. I do like these more than the ones I've seen before. It's got like a good balance. They're really nice feeling, and but yeah, I guess this one was just more abilities and spells after all. So yeah, I was quite surprised by this box, the way the style turned out, because from the pictures I'd seen mainly, it was all more this kind of art, and I thought that's what the cover looked like too. So this was a pleasant surprise, because I really wasn't sure how, which I mean, I'm sure that'll still be in there, but like as far as cover art went, I wasn't sure how much I was a fan of kind of that style. So I do want to look at what these maybe community cards are. I'm assuming this is maybe like their version of Ancestries, and so that's another just handy thing. Yeah. Okay, and as it seems like they've really got ones for just about anything you can think of that you'd want a quick reminder. just... Yeah, as far as the resource go, there seems pretty great. I just really like the look and feel of them. More than any... what it's getting stuck on here. I do like how they have... I'm not sure if I've seen credits for supplements in the sort of core rule books before. I'm not sure if I would have been... John Harper worked on here, which that makes sense since Blades is pretty a unique look to it. Daggerheart is a collaborative fantasy role-playing game of incredible magic and heroic adventure. During your journeys, you may find yourself rubbing elbows with nobles to investigate and stop an assassination plot, delving into an ancient dungeon to prevent an apocalyptic creature from breaking free, sailing across a vast ocean to face a terrifying sea monster, or preventing a precious relic from falling into the hands of a dangerous enemy. No matter the adventure your party embarks upon, Daggerheart provides the tools to tell a story that is both heartfelt and epic. Go ahead and skip this since I'm pretty sure I've read 5 or 6 of those already on this. In every other game we've gone through. So what kind of role-playing game is Daggerheart? Daggerheart is a heroic, narrative-focused experience that features combat as prominent aspect. Features combat as a prominent aspect of play. The system facilitates emotionally engaging, player-driven stories, punctuated by exciting battles and harrowing challenges. The game takes a fiction-first approach, encouraging players and GMs to act in good faith with one another and focus on the story that they're telling rather than the complexity of the mechanics. The rules provide structure when it's unclear how actions or moments will resolve within that story. The system takes a free-flowing approach to combat to avoid slowing the game down with granular rounds. It doesn't rely on grid-based movement for maps and minis. These aspects coalesce to create a game that allows for the terrain and map building that miniature-based systems are known for, while facilitating a streamlined narrative experience for players. If you're looking for a tabletop RPG that tells heroic fantasy stories with a modern approach to mechanics, focusing on both epic battles and emotional narrative of the characters who fight in them, you've come to the right place. Daggerheart also utilizes an asymmetrical design, meaning that it plays differently for the GM than it does for the players. Players roll two 12-sided dice for their standard actions, including attacks. The GM can make most moves without dice, but they roll a 20-sided die for adversary moves that require a roll. This asymmetrical design is intended to help all participants contribute to a memorable experience for everyone at the table. Well, that sounds really good. I trust them to sort of deliver on what they're saying, but I guess I'm just a bit, if you remember Lancer, they made a lot of those same claims, and to me, they really failed at it. So yeah, that's an ambitious goal. And I guess we'll see how well they deliver on it. In Daggerheart, you and your fellow players all take turns describing what your characters do. The GM determines the consequences of those actions, then guides the group into collaboratively evolving the narrative because of those consequences. When the rules call for it, or when situation demands, you'll roll the dice to inform what happens next. Depending on the result of the roll, the events of the ongoing story will unfold in new and unexpected ways. There is no winning or losing in Daggerheart in the traditional gaming sense. The game is a collaborative storytelling experience where the goal is to play out an incredible story together. Even if the characters fail to achieve their goals, make big mistakes, or even die, they never lose. If a character dies, the party can look for a way to bring them back to life. Well, that's boring. I thought I was going to say to make meaning of their death. Party can look for a new way to bring them back to life, or that player can make a new character for the party to meet along their journey. The group fails to stop the villain from enacting a terrible plan. They might face the consequences of that failure and try and make it right. If they succeed, they may triumphantly win the day, or might anger or embolden an even stronger enemy who retaliates. No matter what happens during the story, as long as you're working together to craft a narrative that is fun and exciting to everyone, you've already won. So I do like their list of inspirations here. Uh, some of these are familiar. Others sound like I might need to check them out. You haven't heard of Lady Blackbird. Well, I like how they're using themselves as a reference there. Uh, yeah, a lot of their listings in the special appreciation make a lot of sense from the little we've learned already. Core mechanics. The dice players use in Daggerheart most commonly fall into two different categories: your duality dice and your damage dice. Your duality dice are two differently colored 12-sided dice that represent hope and fear. These dice embody the fate of the world and its effect on the character's success. Your damage dice correspond to the weapon or spell your character wields, expressing the deadliness of a successful attack. When you roll to see whether your character succeeds or fails at a task or challenge, you roll your duality dice and take the sum of their results. Then add any bonuses your character has that apply to the action. That total is equal or higher than the difficulty your character succeeds. If it's lower, they fail. You'll also tell the GM whether your hope or fear die rolled higher, as the situation around you changes based on that result. We'll discuss this more in depth in Chapter 2. So I do like that, and they did sort of mention that before, but now we see how that the D12 is the main dice that we'll be using, which I'm pleased by. It's actually, I don't know why, but it's kind of always been my favorite dice. But it's, I'd say, at least personally for me, it's the one I actually need to use the least. So it's nice seeing that get some attention. I'll skip the sessions. It's just saying, find a length of that works for your group, basically. And yeah, I think we've seen that come up in pretty much every game we've looked at, that, the most important rule is to, make this work for, your players, that, their enjoyment is more important than just sticking to exactly what's written. While in playing Daggerheart, the GM and players should always prioritize rulings over rules. This book offers answers for any question your table may have about the game, but it won't answer all of them. When you're in doubt about how a rule applies, the GM should make a ruling that aligns with the narrative. For example, Daggerheart has a weapon called a grappler that lets you pull a target close to you. If you try to use it to pull an entire castle, the weapon text doesn't forbid you from doing that, but it doesn't make much sense within the narrative. So the GM might rule that you pull a full bricks out or pull yourself toward the wall instead. Similarly, if your character does something that would logically result in immediate death, such as diving into an active volcano without protection, you might not get to make one of Daggerheart's death game. Daggerheart is not a place where technical, out-of-context interpretations of the rules are encouraged. Everything should flow back to the fiction. The GM has the authority and responsibility to make rulings about how rules are applied to underscore that fiction. I'll just go ahead and read starting from the tokens. Tokens are small objects that represent the look and feel of your character. Gather about 7 tokens per player to start. You'll need more as your character levels up. While the amount varies depending on the character build, you likely won't need more than 15 tokens at level 10. As you play the game, you'll use these tokens to help track of several things. When you roll dice, you'll add tokens to help to easily count the modifiers on the roll. To use certain features, you might be required to place tokens on the card or character sheet. These tokens not only make your rolls easier to resolve, but they also provide an opportunity to further express the style and color palette of your character. So I guess that is more or less what that larger bag was for. I guess we'll see more how that comes into play. And yeah, we did receive the game card set that we were looking at earlier. Yeah, this whole doesn't see there. I don't see anything else really out of place that we're not used to seeing in these sections. So they do have a list of player principles. Be a fan of your character and their journey. Spotlight your friends. Address the characters and address the players. Build the world together. Play to find out what happens. Hold on gently. Find ways to show off what your character does best and what they do worst. Strive to make interesting choices and learn more about who they are through play. Push your character's story forward and let them grow through the fiction. Look for opportunities to put other characters in the spotlight. Provide them openings to do what they do best. Ask them for help and offer yours freely, and prompt them to share more of their thoughts and feelings. Speak to the other characters within the world of fiction, lean on the connections you build together, ask them questions, and create a story using your conversations as well as actions. Speak to the other players outside of the fiction, ask them what their character might do and what they want to see happen in the narrative. As you play, be considerate of their references and desires. In Daggerheart, every participant is a storyteller, not the GM. Daggerheart is a highly collaborative game and reaches its greatest potential when every player is working together. This means actively advocating for the story beats you want to see, offering suggestions to enrich the arcs of the other player characters, creating parts of the world with others at the table, thinking deeply about your character's motivations. Everything you should do at the table should flow from the fiction. Listen to your fellow players and the GM, then react to what their characters say and do to discover the story together as you build on each other's creativity. If you roll the dice, let the results lead you through what happens next. Embrace complications with the same vigor with which you celebrate victories. Improvisational storytelling isn't always perfect. That's fine. Hold on gently to the fiction, enough that you don't lose the pieces that matter, but not so tightly that the narrative has no room to breathe. Let yourself make mistakes, make changes, smooth the edges, and shape them to fit the story. Even if the story beats don't go the way you expect, or a sudden twist catches you by surprise, trust that your fellow players will all create something beautiful and memorable by the end. Following these principles will help guide you in telling an exciting, unpredictable, and meaningful story together at your table. So I'm not sure exactly how far we'll be able to get into this next section, but we should be able to get started on it. Daggerheart encourages the exploration of worlds filled with great magic, wondrous landscapes, mythical beasts, dynamic factions, rousing mysteries, and powerful foes. While the world your table collaboratively creates will be your own, Daggerheart has established ancestries, communities, classes, ancestry, abilities, and spells. So some world-building aspects will exist similarly across every campaign. The following section describes the core realms, where these shared details derive from. These details can always be reflavored or modified to match the style of game your group wants to play. When creating your table's unique world, you can use one of the following as a starting point: an existing location you're already familiar with, a supplemental setting book, the guide for creating your own world and running a campaign, or a campaign frame from Chapter 5. The core realms are the basis for the world-building elements inherent to many of Daggerheart's mechanics, such as ancestries and adversaries. Most adventures will likely take place in the mortal realm. This is the land, sea, and sky where mortals live out the entirety of their lives, the plane where the majority of all material beings and objects exist. Stories say this realm was created by the forgotten gods during the earliest age, and these immortals traveled between the hollows above, and this new plane is easily as waking from a dream. During this time, the gods were familiar to the mortals, and acts of divinity were commonplace, be they wonderful or terrifying. When the forgotten gods were overthrown by the new gods, many of these ancient deities were trapped within this plane eternally. This realm is also occupied by the faint divinities, lesser deities created by both the forgotten and new gods to oversee the mortal realm. Many are considered to be quite capricious, and though their spheres of influence are smaller than the gods who created them, they can greatly influence the lives of mortals. The hollows above are The collection of deific territories that once belonged to the forgotten gods before the new gods claimed it at the end of the earliest age. Because this place is closely connected with most other realms, the gods residing here can see and speak with the creatures of the mortal realm without leaving their domain. Though those with whom the gods communicate may find their methods strange or obfuscated, there are ways by which the new gods can leave the hollows above to occupy other realms, but in the current age they must always sacrifice something of personal importance to do so. It is rumored that this burden was necessitated by their desire to protect the hollows from the forgotten gods should they rise again, as the forgotten gods, or any being from the mortal realm, would also have to forfeit much to enter the hollows above. These sacrifices have caused some of the great calamities that have befallen the mortal realm in recent millennia. The circles below are the collection of lower realms where many of the forgotten gods, those who fought the most passionately during the uprising, were banished. Known as the fallen gods, these deities lost the divine war with the new gods during the earliest age and have since been deemed evil practitioners of tainted magic. Thus the faint divinities were banished alongside them are commonly referred to as demons, and those that descended from these creatures also bear the weight of that identifier. Circles below are considered places of corruption, destruction, and violence. Stories say that this dominion is home to some of the most dangerous creatures in the core realms. Most other planes have safeguarded against fallen who wish to cross from the circles below. Within the mortal realm, the use of arcane magic in acts of great evil is said to open a temporary rift between two planes, allowing fallen to pass through. The cosmos holds many realms beyond these: the elemental lands, the astral realm, the valley of death, and countless others. Accessing and traversing these places from the mortal realm requires specialized knowledge and hard-learned skills. Still, some of the beings in the core realms guard these secrets closely and could be persuaded to share them from a price. I guess that's fine. I guess as a framework, that's fine. I guess I'm a little disappointed that it seemed. I guess you're supposed to be building on that, but it just it's a bit just serial numbers filed off, to me at least. But I'm sure there's more details later. But yeah, I guess that's fine to build off of, although I guess I would have kind of appreciated a more unique framework, because that's very, you know, that's very Warcrafty, that's very, that framework of just, the forgotten old gods are sealed on the mortal plane. That's been used a lot. Magic and spells, depending on the kind of character you play, they may or may not have the ability to use magic. Magic in Daggerheart is both very powerful and incredibly dangerous, permeating the land and manifesting within the people. It is both a force within you that can aid you, and a force outside of you that affects the world. If your character does have the power of spellcasting, you'll use magic through specific weapons, spells, and other means. As characters grow, the magic they can perform grows with them. Each level you gain cards that describe the new powerful magic they can wield and the specific parameters for using it. If the default portrayal of your character's mechanical effects doesn't fit them and their style, you can always describe them in a way that does. However, unless your table agrees that flavor shouldn't offer any mechanical effect beyond the effect's existing description. For instance, you might say that your rogue's magic takes the form of gadgets and inventions instead of magically creating a dark cloud. They drop a smoke grenade. Perhaps your ranger's magic takes the form of ancestral spirits who draw forth the forces of nature. Perhaps magic works in an entirely different way in your lore, and you explain how every class's power emerges from a different source. As long as it abides by the mechanics of the game, you're encouraged to flavor your magic to suit your character. Can we flavor items as well? Your character might have a unique weapon from their heritage, but it uses the statistics of a longsword. Your wizard's armor might come in the form of a set of empowered runes instead of chainmail, but they still have armor slots you can spend to reduce damage. In this case, repairing your armor during a rest could mean replenishing the enchantment. The adjusting abilities and spells section of this chapter suggests other ways you can tailor your spells and abilities to fit your character and comfort level. Alright, we'll go ahead and end here. And like I said earlier, well, I guess I kind of ended up doing it anyways. I'm not sure how in-depth we'll end up going with this. We did sort of just end up reading through the entire framing section today, but I'm not sure how much I'll be wanting to just read through the rest of it. But we'll be doing this for at least one more day. But yeah, that will wrap things up for today.